Now, Valdosta University has completed something called a feasibility study on that plan to secede. The study found that Buckhead will thrive if it splits from Atlanta, but of course you knew that. Atlanta needs Buckhead. Buckhead does not need Atlanta, and that's true of a lot of places. If they're wrecking your town, leave. Bill White is the CEO and chairman of the Buckhead City Committee. He joins us tonight. Bill, thanks so much for coming on. Are you getting closer? And again, this is not just a local interest story. This is of interest to a lot of people around the country who are being really, really hurt by the crazed management of their woke leaders. Do you think this could actually happen?
Yes, sir. And I want to thank you, Tucker. First, thanks to the Valdosta University for showing that we are 100% feasible. We are only going to be taking approximately 10% or less of the Atlanta's overall operating budget. And with that money that we will now have control over, we'll be able to hire 250 police officers. They'll be the highest paid police officers in the state of Georgia. They'll all have their own car. They'll get a stipend to live in Buckhead. And we're finally going to get the crime under control. We also are left in this study, Tucker, with a $100 million surplus. And that is very interesting because what we go to right away is, where has all the money been going that we've been sending to Atlanta for the last 20 years? It's billions of dollars to a corrupt, bloated bureaucracy. And I think that people are fed up. So I think our bills, which are sponsored by Senator Brandon Beach and Representative Todd Jones, leadership, Speaker David Ralston, and Chairman Darlene Taylor, the Georgia legislature are a bunch of courageous, wonderful human beings that are going to give us the right to vote. I can't wait for the voter rights groups to suppress our right to vote, right? I can't believe they're doing it, but the lobbyists at Atlanta is using our taxpayer dollars to attack us for the right to vote. Our taxpayer dollars, they're spending against us millions of dollars. And their message is very fear-mongering. We just want to get crime under control. We want to pave our streets. We want our garbage picked up and get back to normal.
Yeah, we don't have to live like this. Nobody in America should have to live like this. You owe them nothing. They hate you and they act like it. And I hope you leave immediately. That'll be a lesson to the rest of the country. Bill White, I appreciate your coming on tonight. Thank you.
Hey, Tucker, if I could ask everybody to go to becnow.com and read the feasibility study, it's an eye-opener.
Everybody knows you would thrive. They need you. And they hate you anyway. It's disgusting.
That's very lovely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
We had a kind of unexpectedly fascinating conversation with the actress Rose McGowan. She told us how many of the most powerful people in this country helped protect Harvey Weinstein, and that changed her view of everything. That includes even Amazon and its founder, Jeff Bezos. Here's part of that conversation.
Weinstein was going to go bankrupt. And if he'd truly gone bankrupt, I would have just left it there, maybe. I was thinking about that. But he didn't, because Roy Price, Amazon Studios, came in to save him. Turns out they bought my script, at Weinstein's behest, to see if I had written anything about him.
The full conversation with Rose McGowan is on Tucker Carlson today, and it's out tomorrow afternoon on FoxNation.com. So finally, polls are about to close in the California recall election. Voters have a chance to oust their incompetent governor, Gavin Newsom. We're going to have some updates for you straight ahead.
Hey, Joe Piscopo here. What if Relief Factor does work for you? 3 weeks from now, you could be pain-free like tens of thousands of others.
As I was aging, the pain in my hips was getting worse and worse.
I first heard about Relief Factor on a television show.
I ordered Relief Factor for pain I was having in my neck and my knees.
Each of its 4 key ingredients targets a different metabolic pathway to help your body respond to runaway inflammation.
After about 3 weeks, the pain was gone, and I was able to climb the stairs.
I am pain-free. I love it.
I am now pain-free. Thank you, Relief Factor.
I'm really happy. It makes me feel like I'm young again.
Do yourself a favor and try Relief Factor today. The 3 week
He got killed last night, Stephen. I'm going to watch it again tonight.
Spectacular deal. Go to relieffactor.com or call.
I can't believe they got killed like that.
Quick start today.
This is why thousands of people are
I'm feeling good.
I always assumed that you.
What, was I a jerk last night or something?
Coverage. It turns out that it's the same network.
That's right. The same network. for much less. With plans at $30 a month for unlimited talk, text, and 6 gigs of data.
And keep the same phone, keep the same phone number.
And you save a bunch of money.
We got a foreigner family, and we save about $70 a month.
There's no contract, there's no hidden fees.
The customer service is awesome.
I called my brother and told him, I said, look, I'm going to tell you how to save some money. You got to switch to Pure Talk. Don't think about it, just do it.
With unlimited talk, text,
But Stephen, I can be a jerk.
Smartest thing I've done in a long time.
I'm not immune to it.
dial pound
I can be
250
one.
and say keyword smarter wireless to save 50%
Quickly,
off
too.
the first month. Pure Talk. Simply smarter wireless.
From the pioneers of comfortable pain management and recovery, Tommy Copper introduces infrared and red light therapy devices. Easy luxury therapy.
I can't believe how bad the. Hey, what's Machado season like?
Improve circulation, relax and reduce muscle spasms. 60 powerful LED lights.
Was he about 278?
Joints, targeted relief to fight pain at its source. Go to TommyCopper.com now.
Hey,
and learn how to save
so it's like
25%
Machado, like 278, 28 homers, and like 90 RBIs, like that kind of season.
Early in the morning, I needed energy.
Yeah, I think he's doing well, right? Let me see.
I could coach better. I could hit the ball harder at my players. I can make an overhand serve, which I have not been able to do in a long time. And my players notice too, like, wow, you've got more energy.
Manny Machado, 2021.
That piece of money. You know, instead of trying to isolate certain vitamins and minerals, you're taking the whole thing. I mean, I think it's the closest thing to actually eating real fruit and vegetables.
With Balance of Nature, immediately I noticed that my energy levels picked up. Even with not a lot of sleep, I could function and be the mom I needed to be for my son.
Manny Machado, 2021
The
stats.
best fruit and vegetable product on the market by going to balanceofnature.com or by calling 1-800-2468-751. And don't forget to get 35% off your first order as a preferred customer by using discount code Fox News.
Yeah, exactly what I said. He's 276, 24 homers, and 90 RBIs. He's so good with the glove, too. Their pitching's failing him. Padres' pitching's failing.
And speed up when I know my stuff.
I want a university that cares about me.
Tests on your time, courses on your time, graduate on your time. WGU, the nonprofit university of you.
Do you feel like the way you clean your ears at home doesn't work well enough?
Isn't that a shame? Hey,
But then I tried the Wax RX ear wash.
Steven, isn't that a shame what happened in 1090?
And it's the same system used in medical clinics. The reusable Wax
What a
RX
great station.
has everything you need.
They
to
destroyed it.
effectively remove earwax at home without the inconvenience of a doctor's visit. You should use the doctor trusted Wax
That thing was
RX
so
ear
good.
wash system. You can get it now at Walgreens.
Yeah, runners in scoring position.
Selling a home is expensive and stressful, so we set out to create a better home selling experience with a network of the most successful real estate agents.
Mike Glickenhaus
that'll sell your
ran the thing into the ground, and he just kept spending money. I mean, get this, check it out. They paid $2.5 million for the rights to have the Padres on the station. They paid $300,000 a month in rent. They didn't need all that space. They paid like,
The California recall is here. Polls in the state.
I mean, for executives and on-air people, man,
But it still matters.
a couple $100,000 there, paying everybody.
Not just the history of California, the history of
And they just get this. That place made $14 million a year.
1871. He now
$14 million a year, and they were over budget like 16 every year. They never, the Padres never let them break even.
Why is this significant, this recall?
Well, first of all, everybody seems to think California is a warning of what we're all going to become. So
yes,
we have Gavin Newsom, who is not running on his record. He's not saying, I took care of 60 million dead trees to prevent forest fires, or I built another 10 million acre feet of water storage to survive this drought, or I solved the homeless. It's Donald Trump, and Larry Elder is a lieutenant in the army of Donald Trump. That's all that he's running against the opposition. And it's a racialized campaign. It's very surreal that so-called liberal elites have been attacking in the Los Angeles Times and then on the street Larry Elder on the basis of his race. It's really retrograde, scary. And that's new. I mean, I haven't seen that in a campaign.
So Larry Elder, for our viewers who are just tuning in, is black.
Yes.
And yet he was denounced by a columnist at the LA Times, who's not black, as a white supremacist.
He was. And if you and I dreamed up, Tucker, a way that would be the most racist expression possible, we would have somebody wear a gorilla mask and on the street.
Listen, the reason that Lee's numbers went down so poorly, I've said this before.
So it seems like you're describing a campaign that's not the governor's attempt to keep
Lee didn't change. Lee's falling into the same.
Improve the state. It's purely an attempt to hold on to power for its own sake. It sounds
absolutely saying that you have 60% of a Democratic liberal constituency. I have a right here. I've inherited this job as a Bay Area elite. I'm one of the Pelosi, the Feinstein, the Silicon Valley anointed, and this is my right. And I really have to.
Lee didn't change his act. He didn't evolve. He thought that he knew better and knew more than everybody else, and he didn't understand the new PPM system. Stephen, if he would have adapted to the PPM system instead of the old Arbitron ways, he would have been okay. But he thought that because everybody was still writing diaries in, and that they listened to people for 1 million hours, that he was still caught in the old way. This PPM was a people meter thing, and he didn't catch up with the technology. That's what killed him, is that he didn't understand. What I did was I studied it right away. The PPM was different than the Nielsen ratings. There were a lot of the old guys who didn't understand it and thought that it was just a hoax, the whole PPM thing. They got knocked out of the business. It really had more to do with him not understanding PPM, and he didn't really give a shit to care about it or learn about it.
Despite low incidences of COVID in those particular areas at that time, but there was this attitude that he was entitled, and I think that loves people of all different.
Like there's a lot of people that don't believe in Arbitron. It's not important if you believe in it or not. It's important that it's a system that's used for measuring ratings. And Lee thought he was some sort of like fucking Mark Twain. And that's not the point. You may be doing the greatest show on the planet, but if it doesn't fall under the parameters of the people meter, you're going to get annihilated. And that's what happened.
I should say that Victor Hansen is in the studio because we just did an hour-long interview for Tucker Carlson today, which we're going to air at some point, which was amazing.
Thank you.
It was great to see you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Sad news to end the show tonight. Comedian Norm Macdonald died today from cancer in Los Angeles. He was 61 years old. McDonald, of course, is most famous for his time on Saturday Night Live. He performed there for 5 years in the 1990s. He did a remarkable job. In the end, though, he was fired. His crime was telling jokes about O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson was personally very close to the president of NBC at the time. Norm Macdonald knew this very well. He told the jokes anyway, and he got canned for it. You often hear professional comedians talk about the importance of integrity and truth. We're truth tellers, they'll tell you. In fact, most of them are as craven and cowardly as anyone else in the entertainment business. It's about their careers, and that's all it's about. But Norm Macdonald was an exception to that. He really was as honest as he seemed to be, and he was as talented and insightful as he seemed to be as well.
It's true.
He was a good man. Norm Macdonald, rest in peace.
He was. Hey, Stephen, he completely was one of the, I would say this to you. I'd make the point to you that Lee Hacksaw was probably the most famous West Coast sports talk guy. Oh, absolutely. I mean, that is a clear fact. That's a fact. He was a highly rated guy. I would put it to you, like I said, the famous guys were Hacksaw and Francesa, Gary Radnich in San Francisco, Pete Franklin. How you doing, Trev? Those guys were all like really big radio guys. Pete Franklin, who may have even done some radio on 690 back in the day. I mean, they were all enormous radio guys. Yeah, no, they what they did was, Stephen, I know exactly what they did to Lee. They turned him into some sort of like joke, and it was Scott Kaplan who did it. Scott was the guy who was the centerpiece of that because Scott didn't want anybody to be a bigger celebrity than him. And that's always been Scott's deal. And so what did he do? He turned Lee into a joke. And that's why Lee, he never saw it that way because Rome never even did that to him. When Rome started getting bigger, I've talked to Jim about this. Scott turned Lee into a joke. So, Hacksaw not having his place, like in the business, is because of Scott. Hello. Yes. Yes. Good. Yeah. There's no reason for it. Yeah. No problem. Yeah. That's right. Oh, really? No. Let's see. Is he? Oh, he's on the show sheet, right? Yeah, he's on the books. Well, I'll tell you what. There's like a fourth hour. We'll tape him during that time. Wake me up when I'm needed. Yeah, well, guess what? Tell him I can't stand him and I don't really like him, and there'll be very hard questions. How about this guy, Millie, man? He's quite the general, huh? Boy, I'll tell you, man. That's right. Now, wait a minute now. It's a good point. Do you believe Bob Woodward? No, Bob. No. Bob stretches the rubber band for sure. I don't think that shit's on Trump. Really? I think that shit's on him as a fucking general that, get this, he's treasonous. Talking to a foreign enemy about attacking? Really? Okay. I don't know, man. It may be, Chris. But Chris, it may be though, dude. But get this. That still doesn't give the Joint Chiefs of Staff to undermine the process of the democratic system that we have. Who elected him? Okay. Now that I could believe that. Now I could believe that, Chris, because like you said, he his last two books have gone like this. I mean, it's a pretty good yarn. Wow, man. So like you're the angry guy tonight. Good evening, America, and boy, do you need the Dan Sileo show tonight. We're going to have a lot of fun here. Great conversation as always. Great conversation. Always talking about civic pride and always talking about, I don't know, things that go on in our world. I've told you this before. You know, it's sprinkled with much sports. That's what we do, and that's how I've done it for my entire career. And I'll always do that because I love sports. It's my background. But I like guy talk like you. I was just talking to my guy Chris prior to going on the air. You know, boy, I'll tell you, man, if you watch what's going on in Washington and you watch the bitching that goes on a daily basis. Hey, by the way, for the record, I didn't know Chick-fil-A made dresses. That's what I thought AOC was in. I looked like a Chick-fil-A dress, and she got hammered for going to some social event. And I'm like, that's what politicians do. Why are you upset with that? Who cares? What, do you think these people aren't going to Washington to become millionaires? Oh, that's right. They're going to serve you. Oh, my God almighty. My wife's so right. If you believe any side, you're crazy. And here's the most important thing, though. If you let it bug you, it's on you. It really is. It's on you. If it makes you miserable, that's a you problem. Because those people, you have to understand, you know the truth with it. And that's why when, you see what you saw last night. My boy Chris O said it last night. The stadium looked great for Vegas and for the Raiders. It was great last night, wasn't it? You had the strip being shown. I mean, it was like a perfect fit. Raiders in Vegas. It's like Raiders and on the moon. You know what I mean? Time. It's big. You could put the Raiders anywhere. What a brand. Man, Las Vegas looked great last night. That game was great. The NFL had the greatest weekend in 20 years in TV ratings. Do you know that? So all the things that you guys are watching, or some of you are watching on TV or listening, when it comes to the mainstream or lamestream news stuff that's coming out of Washington, you're in the minority. More people are watching football and watching things like that than they are watching that other BS crap, especially last night's game. I thought ESPN, it was their best broadcast that they've had maybe in 15 years. You had the Mannings on one channel, and you had the game being broadcast with normal broadcasters. That's why the thing, we couldn't figure out why it was simulcast last night. That's why they simulcasted, because on ESPN, Manning, the two Manning brothers were giving you kind of like analysis, and on the network, they were giving you the game with normal broadcasters and their normal broadcast team. Couldn't figure it out. I was like, really? Why would they simulcast that? Well, they were simulcasting different types of broadcasts. And I loved what they did. If you were a young high school quarterback and you were listening to Eli Manning and Peyton Manning, how they watch a football game, you should have had a notepad and a pencil last night, because they showed you inside of their minds how they see plays and how they see the game. It was entertaining. Russell Wilson jumped in. Charles Barkley jumped in. I thought it was great, man. I did. It was like you had to win that game twice. John Gruden wins the game. It was great. It was so wonderful. And how about seeing that Vegas stadium for the first time packed? Al Davis would be absolutely thrilled. He would be thrilled on seeing his Raiders in Las Vegas. Let me tell you something here about Big Al and what that Raiders now have done for Las Vegas. No disrespect to the Golden Knights at all. I think it's a wonderful organization. I've got friends inside that organization, and they put on a fabulous show. But now you add the NFL to Las Vegas along with the Knights. Man, I'll tell you, that's a must-see sports town. That's a must-see sports town. And you're trying to tell me you don't think baseball and basketball are trying to figure out a way to get to Vegas? Tax-free state, right? No state income tax. Oh, next to California, where everybody's running from. You got a recall today with the governor. I mean, Nevada, Arizona, all those states, man, that have those state income tax. Great. Getting all the business from California. Now you've got teams coming in from California. Would it shock you if the A's are in Las Vegas by next year? I mean, the A's would go from being, a well-run West Coast baseball team to being a wealthy, well-run baseball team on the West Coast. I think the A's need Vegas. That was great last night. What a must-see sports town. I mean it. Hey, and just think of this a couple decades ago. Everybody's repelled by gambling, marijuana sale, all of that. Those states that I named are at the front and center of it, including California, when it comes to weed sale. Look at how we look at things so differently now. And look at how the sports world is looking at gambling and trying to figure out how to monetize it. The NFL is going to completely just annihilate it. But like I said, they're circling back. That was so great. Al Davis must be just going like this. I told you so. You remember what the fight was between him and Pete Rozelle. It was about relocation. Al's big deal was, you have no right telling me where I can move my team or not. You're not even an owner. Who gives you that right? Well, Pete's thoughts were, I represent the other owners to make sure everybody's in line and we're all rowing in the same direction. And he's like this, you have no right to tell me where I can move my business. And now get this, all these stadiums that have been built, teams that have moved. If it wasn't for Al Davis, they would never have had stadiums like SoFi. You would never have had stadiums, what you see in Vegas or up in Santa Clara. It was all Al Davis. Al Davis was a maverick in that. And last night was the centerpiece. The eternal flame for Al. I think is crazy great. Crazy great. Turned out to be the Raiders would win in overtime. Congratulations to Johnny. Needed that win, I think. I still think the other team was better. You know what I really loved about that game as well? Lamar Jackson. I've had a chance to go back and forth with him on, and I'll tell you something, man. You know, how about an African kid who gets criticized for the way he looks with the gold teeth and the stuff he wears around his neck? He's such a leader. He was so pissed last night that he had 2 turnovers, including one in the overtime frame, which probably cost him the game. But he would never, and that team would have never have been in the game without him. He's so electric. If I had to put money down on a player to go watch and play, he'd be one of those players. This guy takes a beating. I mean, he gets up. He's maybe the best open field runner I've ever seen at the position. And he's accurate, and he throws, I mean, he's a weapon, but he gets killed out there too. I have not seen a quarterback since Cam Newton, when Cam was in his prime, that got killed the same way. He was, man. But you saw the difference between him and Aaron Rodgers last night. He was so pissed he slammed. Somebody asked him about the turnovers. Yeah, man, that really ticked me off. Here's Aaron Rodgers when he gets beat. Well, you know, it's one game. Oh, really? So all summer long, right, Aaron? Because people were talking crap to you, you had a problem with the way that they were dealing with you, but you get your face kicked in by the Saints, and everything's cool. Oh, I see. And last night I saw Lamar Jackson so pissed that he knew that he potentially cost his team that game. And you saw the difference between a guy who's desiring to be the greatest and another guy who's winding it down and not sure he wants to still do it. To me, you know where Aaron Rodgers is as a quarterback and a leader of his football team? He's in the island of not having true conviction. That's horrible to be on that island. You're either all in or you're not. You can't put one foot on the beach and then one foot in the ocean and say you're all in. You've got to have both feet in the boat, and you're rowing out to sea, sometimes with no oars. May lead you astray, but that's what's called a gamble. That's what's called all in. I'm all in with these guys. And you see the difference between the two. I loved it. You see maturity too. Man, I'll tell you, I still to this day can't get how that guy got out of South Florida and got away from the University of Miami. All right. Also, there was a big coaching move yesterday at Southern Cal. I want to throw this out there to you about the Southern Cal job. Southern Cal can get anybody they want to coach that team, including pro guys. Okay? I heard James Franklin's name. Do you know what the Penn State coach gets? I think you're going to be floored when I tell you. Do you know how much money in rural Pennsylvania James Franklin makes coaching the Penn State Nittany Lions? How much money do you think he makes annually? He makes $10 million a year. Why in the world would he want to come to Los Angeles and put up with all this BS out there? Why would he? Lincoln Riley makes $10 million in rural Norman, Oklahoma. Why in the world would he want to coach USC? And for the taxes, what would you have to make? $15 million just to cover the number you're making now? It would be a pay cut. If those coaches came to California, it would be a pay cut. We're not leaving those places. USC, okay, they fire a guy who had the winningest record after the first 2 years of coaching at Southern Cal because they wanted to go in a new direction. So this is what they did. They hired Clay Helton. Clay was a good hire, maybe the needed hire at the time after the whole thing with Lane Kiffin. But I mean, or Steve Sarkisian, excuse me. The whole Steve Sarkisian getting drunk at an event. He was maybe the right guy. He was making $4.6 million a year to be mediocre. How about this? To be good. He was good. Clay was good. But at USC, good? Sorry. It's just not going to cut it. So here's what Southern Cal has to do, in my opinion. Look, the Urban Meyer stuff is ridiculous. He just coached one game at Jacksonville. He ain't going anywhere. Maybe at the end of the year, if he sucks out loud, maybe there's a conversation. But right now, why don't you go and get the biggest name that you possibly can find to coach USC? You got the money for it. Actually, today, USC's endowment is better than it's ever been, even when they were winning national championships. Go out and get the right guy. But go out and get somebody that's going to be a star, that's going to attract kids. The problem that you're having at Southern Cal? Kids don't want to play at USC anymore. You ever thought you'd hear that? By the way, I'm not able to say that in the same light too with any kind of confidence that Miami keeps their guys in South Florida. Those are the two issues that we have going on at our schools. There's a lot to do in Miami. There's a lot to do in LA. So you need a star guy to recruit. This comes down to recruiting. And you need the biggest name you possibly can find to coach your team. Get a gigantic guy who's won a Super Bowl maybe. Do what you did with Pete Carroll. Why would you hire another stiff? Why would you do it? You wouldn't do it. I mean, what in the world would I want to do that for? Hire another stiff? All right. A little more on Lamar Jackson, the quarterback for the Ravens. He was spectacular in a loss. We'll hit on it next. You keep it around the Sileo Show. Why, thank you. Oh, wow. You are my number one fan. Interesting. up 7% over last year. TV ratings. 17.4 million people per game. The Bekong ratings. Oh, yeah. Oh, I know, man. That sucks, man. Wasn't he there 9 years? Yeah. I know. Wow. Angry, man. Angry. I was not. I was very. Oh, no. No. How dare you say such things? No, I wasn't. No way. No way. No, not at all. I was in a very conviction mood. Well, no, it sounds angry, huh? Wow. It's like you like wafflers because Big Sills is a conviction guy. That's probably why you're a Godzilla guy. Okay. Wow. Are you a tool? Oh, really? Oh, Curious George, right? Okay. Well, you're more like the dude on green eggs and ham. Wow, you went there, huh? Wow. Dan Sileo, USA Radio Network. Chris goes like, I'm like, not in a good mood tonight with this stuff. And I go like this, gee, good. It makes me, I don't know, wait a minute. Why does that make me feel bad? Really, man? Wait. Really, why do I feel better that he feels like a turd tonight? What is that? No, I wasn't bitter. You're missing sports convision. I attacked everybody. Well, I attack people, man, who need to be attacked. Okay, I don't attack everybody. Like, okay, look, like Sandy Cortez. Okay, tell me that didn't look like a Chick-fil-A dress. I really did. I was like this. I will take the milkshake next. You have great milkshakes at Chick-fil-A. She's a good-looking young lady. Oh, woo, man! I don't know about that, man. Oh my God, to me. Oh God. Thank you, Chris, for that dialogue. I appreciate it. Hey. Very good here, man. So I don't know why that made me feel good. All right, No, I don't know. I don't know. It was like a chicken wrap or something. I don't really. It's like the red carpet thing or whatever. I don't even know what it is either. What? No, forget it. I'm not doing it. No, 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 no. Let me get into my take here, man, before I get even more trouble here. Let me throw this at you here, okay? So here's a candidate for the USC job. Is Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs. He's been, what people say, has been bypassed by the NFL teams, and nobody knows why. You know what's funny about that? Well, all you have to do is look at his history and look at the cases with him and law enforcement. I am the only guy on the air today that brings that up. Do you know that? Listen, I have nothing against Eric. I hear everybody say great things. And when Andy Reid tells me that Eric Bieniemy is a hell of a guy to be around and that Patrick Mahomes loves the guy, I take their word for it. But know something about the NFL owners. If you look at the issues that Eric Bieniemy has had with firemen, law enforcement, when he was at college at Colorado, I'm not telling you anything that's not printed. These conservative owners are going to have a problem with that. Even if you're white, if you have numerous confrontations with law enforcement, I think he's been arrested a few times for disorderly conduct. Okay? So, I mean, him being in consideration now for USC, he's not going to get that job. All right. Hey, this goes to my friends in the Phoenix area at the Valley Hooters. Folks, this is a great place for you to go see Arizona Wildcat football, Arizona State Sun Devils, the Arizona Cardinals. Hey, baseball too with the Diamondbacks. Great food specials, great beer specials. $3 Michelob Ultra Drafts are there for you. Great place for fantasy football as well. Outstanding giveaways. Amazing UFC nights. Do me a favor. Go to the Valley Hooters and you tell them that Big Sil sent you. All right. I want to hit on one of my favorite football teams going into week 2. We'll do it next. You keep it here on the Dan Sileo Show. Oh, okay, Chris. Jesus, criminy. Man. Now you're talking in third person. It's crazy. Yeah, you are. Yeah, it's okay. I heard you the first time. Okay, that's the third time. Congratulations. You can listen. I can't believe you can hold your tongue. I hope it's not. Watch this. I hope it's not, Chris. No, because no, yeah, I don't want that either. Colonel Mustard. Wow. Oh, Jesus, man, was that a long way? No, well. How's he doing? Oh, wow. Yeah, what is wrong with you? Wow. Sorry to hear that. Jesus, gravity. Interesting. You have quite a perspective on things right now. Sure. Oh man, Jesus Christ. This guy's blowing up over a White Castle not being in Queens any longer, just to keep score over here. Oh, the Bronx. Brooklyn. Okay, Brooklyn. Well, you look more like a Queens guy. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, okay. Like, so you think that goes on in Bensonhurst? Really? Okay, guy. I know it doesn't. I went there and I lived there. I know it doesn't. Bath Avenue. Okay, Scarsdale. That's hilarious. Scarsdale. Hey, how are ya? How is everybody doing? Oh, God. Yonkers. Yeah, I was born near the mall. Oh, man. Dan Sileo, USA Radio Network. Oh, yeah. So, like, Steven on my YouTube channel just says that the media's going to have a field day tomorrow after Larry Elder loses. By the way, you can also follow me on my Twitch channel. You're missing it, Steven. They had never any intentions of winning that recall. You know that. Just to get the recall itself is like getting an impeachment. And that's why the Democrats rifled the president of the United States and the vice president of California, is to set the record straight. This was an impeachment the same way that they impeached Donald Trump. It's a half impeachment. He was never going to win the recall. So you're wrong. You're missing it. To have the governor of California have to go to and through a recall, and then off the heels of Cuomo resigning in New York. I don't know about you, but if I was the Democratic Party, I might not feel pretty good about myself about the two biggest states that help me win popular votes every 4 years. I mean, I don't know, but you think that's a good look? One guy resigns, the other guy was almost impeached. The fact that you got it on a ballot, a special ballot, is a win. It's a win. It reaffirms him for what? You think he's running Gavin Newsom on the job he's done with the homeless, or the unemployment that was a disaster, or the debt, or the gas tax? You think he's running on any of that? Here was his running thing. Larry Elder is a black supremacist, and Donald Trump caused this. That's what he ran on. Okay? That's what he ran on. So it doesn't matter. He was never going to get recalled. He was never going to get recalled. There's no way he was going to. Sure. Absolutely. Absolute. Oh, Stephen, Chris O just said it. He's going to come. Dude, the Republican Party getting it to the ballot is a freaking enormous victory. Okay? It's a huge victory. You basically put Gavin Newsom on the firing line, basically, to be recalled as governor. At the end of the day, you didn't believe that, right, Chris? You didn't believe he was going to get recalled too, did you? I still think it helps him. I still think it helps him that he forced the governor to go to a special election. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I disagree with that. And I got a ballot. Okay. I got a ballot. And I wanted Gavin Newsom recalled. He's terrible. He's done nothing positive for the state. Drinking $1,000 glasses of wine and no mask and telling everybody and causing businesses to go under. He was terrible. He's run the entire state into the ground. Why do you think businesses are leaving for Nevada and for Arizona and Texas? They're running away from this place because they can't afford to run their businesses here any longer. Well, why do you get this too? Here, I'll make another point to you. Why do you think you don't really see a lot of free agents come to the state of California? You know why? I don't want to pay the taxes to play in San Francisco or Los Angeles. I don't want to pay those taxes. I'd rather go and play in Texas, Arizona, Florida, Carolina. You think I'm going to Detroit? The only way I'm going to Detroit is if I get traded to Detroit. And by the way, it's got nothing to do with the fine folks there from that city. It's got everything to do with the taxes. You think players don't look at that? Why wouldn't you? I just got through talking to you about the USC job. So you're talking about a guy like James Franklin coming to USC and being a head coach. Why would he leave Pennsylvania? He makes $10 million a year in rural Pennsylvania in Happy Valley. Why would he leave? He wouldn't leave. Nick Saban makes $11 million a year in the state of Alabama. Dabo Swinney makes $10 million a year. Why would those guys leave for USC? Are you under the impression that your job is as big as those jobs? Here, always remember something about a person. Always remember something about a football team, a baseball team, a coach, or anybody. Listen to me clearly here. If your best highlights are behind you, you've got a problem. If your best highlights aren't in front of you and they're behind you, hey, man, how far back are you going to keep looking? Okay? And you're not doing things progressively in front of you every day to create these new highlights for you. Nobody wants to do anything with that. Nobody cares about your rear view highlight reel. Nobody cares. That's barbershop stuff. Well, I remember back in 1975 when USC was great. Remember back in the early 2000s with Pete Carroll. What have you done since? Nothing. Well, your best highlights are in the rear view. Athletes included. That's why you see people trying to be relevant all the time. You know why they're trying to be relevant all the time? Because your best part of what you've accomplished is behind you. And you're still, actors go through this all the time. Try to stay in the game. It's hard. Why do you think politicians do it? Why do you think politicians are always in front of the camera? Have you ever seen bigger camera whores in your life than media people and the politicians? It's because they have to be relevant. They have to create new content. They have to create new storylines, or your best is in your rear view. In sports, it's very evident when you're talking about a team like USC. Do you know the kids in Southern California don't even want to go to school there anymore? I've never heard this before. Kids transfer from Southern Cal. You know, back in my day, when you got a scholarship offer from USC, it was like getting a scholarship offer from heaven. You mean I get to play at the Coliseum and in the Rose Bowl, and I get to play out west with those great uniforms and that great heritage? You know what kids say today? Nah, because you know what the SEC is doing? Get this. All these schools like Mater Dei in Los Angeles, these jets fly in from SEC schools, Florida, Tennessee, Alabama, A&M, and they're now recruiting these kids. The people at SC are now doing this. What are you guys doing here? Well, we're taking your kids because they don't want to play here any longer. Your best highlights are in your rear view. That's why I say when you're hiring a coach, make sure you're getting somebody that understands that and understands the area and understands the heritage and understands what he has to do when it comes to going to work. How do you become a great coach like Nick Saban? Well, let's take a look at that journey for a minute. So Nick Saban started, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, at Toledo in the MAC conference. He was there 1 year. He was there 1 year. But prior to that, do you know where he was an assistant coach? Do you guys know? At Army. Guess who the coach was there? Bill Belichick's father. He used to stay in Belichick's house. And he became friends with Bill and the dad, and he worked with the dad. Worked his ass off, became a great assistant coach, went around places, lands the job at Toledo. Bill Belichick gets the job at Cleveland. You know who the first hire was? His defensive coordinator, assistant coach? It was Nick Saban. When he got the Cleveland job, his first hire was Nick Saban. And they had it going on and then a rash of injuries, and they had a fumbling of the quarterback position, and Bill gets fired. So what does Nick do? Nick gets the job at Michigan State. Turns that program around. Michigan State, in my opinion, hasn't been that good since actually he was there. Okay? He turned it around. Then, out of nowhere, this coach gets a job at LSU. He goes to LSU. He wins the national championship. He's driven. He gets an opportunity to coach in the NFL, and he wants to make the leap. In my opinion, if he didn't leave LSU, he would have done the same thing at LSU that he's doing now at Alabama. But he paused his career for a minute because guess what he wanted to do? He wanted to compete against his guy, Bill Belichick. Remember something? He was 2-2 against Belichick as the coach of the Dolphins. Nick was 2-2. And can you imagine if he had chosen right and chose Drew Brees instead of Dante Culpepper? There could have been a rivalry between Drew Brees and Tom Brady for the last 20 years. But he picked the quarterback wrong. I was there in South Florida when this was all going on. And I remember Nick coming to me going, I don't know. And I said, what do you mean you don't know? Before you know it, he gets the Bama job. Here's my point on becoming a good coach. Look at the journey that he went on. He was an assistant coach for 10 years. Then he gets all these stops. Toledo, Michigan State. He's honing his craft. LSU. Then he has failure. He has failure with the Dolphins. It's the first time in his life he's had failure. Then he gets the Alabama job, and he's actually put a bigger statue in Alabama than what Bear Bryant has. He's a better coach than Bryant. That says, I thought I would never say that in my life, that there was a coach better than Bear Bryant. He is. With today's competition with scholarships, remember something back in the day, Bear Bryant, he could have 200 kids on his team if he wanted on scholarship. There were no limitations. And a lot of the coaches back in the day used to put kids on their teams. You know, Nebraska would have like 100 kids on scholarship, 150 kids. Same thing with Oklahoma. You know what they were doing? They were keeping those other kids that were on their roster away from Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Kansas. They were keeping them away from those places. And they would just let those guys die on the vine. Then in 85, scholarship reductions came. 85, you can only have 85. That's why you see Boise State. That's why you see TCU good. That's why you see other programs that you never saw before. How's Virginia Tech good all of a sudden? It reduced the scholarships. So it's harder to win today than it's ever been in college football. To me, coaching in college, I would never want to coach in the NFL. Why would I coach in the NFL if I could make $6-7 million a year and be the king of my own moat? Coaching in the college ranks, if you're at a top 25 program, I would rather be at a top 25 program than be the coach of the Jets. Robert Saley's the coach of the New York Jets. So what? James Franklin makes $10 million a year at Penn State. There's not a guy except for Belichick. Get this, the guy in the Northeast, here's the highest paid coaches. You ready? It's Belichick and James Franklin from Penn State. Okay? There's no pro coach that makes more money than him from the Jets or Giants. You think Joe Judge of the Giants makes $10 million a year? You know what he's making? 3.5. Coaching college today? Do you know, here, I'll give you an innocuous team. You know Iowa Hawkeyes in Ames? Okay, Kirk France, he makes $6.5 million in Iowa. Why would he leave to go coach the Browns? He's been offered it twice. He offered the Bears job once. He turned it down. He's been there 21 years. By the way, he's got a good football team. They beat Iowa State this past weekend. I was disappointed in Iowa State's performance. College coaching today. Woof. I'm serious. I got into the wrong profession because you could be mediocre. Look at Lane Kiffin. You could be mediocre and make $5 million a year. It's the biggest get-over I've ever seen. Now, they blow these guys out quick. But you know, get this, Clay Helton was just fired at USC. Do you know what his buyout is? Do you know what they have to give him? $12 million. Don't feel too bad for Clay. I feel bad for this guy, though. Injury on the first week. Devastating. I'll tell you next. Catskills. I don't want the job. Wouldn't want to be president of that thing. Yeah, but I run it like a dictatorship, and that's how you go there. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Yeah, well, guess what? The little consters get thrown into the pit if they know better. Depends on how good the wife looks. Well, you want to go there, so I went over there. Wow. Wow. Oh, wait a minute. Go ahead. Put me on. What? No. Go ahead. Get it out of my mind. I can't get it out of my mouth. I almost threw up on myself over here, man. Holy cow. Oh, man. Chris, my board op, or whatever he is. I think we're like, how can I say? Hey, do you need any cranberry juice? Oh my God, man. Jesus criminy, man. Holy cow. Now you see why I get excuse me. Thank you. Okay. I will go back to talking sports. You think I want to sit around and be angry like you all day, talking about Joe B and all the rest of them idiots? No, nothing. Chris has had quite the night, though. Of course, it's all about me. It always is. Always will be. Okay, he's right. Okay. Here, I'm gonna bring it down here a little bit because I am upset about one thing. Okay, guy gets an opportunity in Washington, and Ryan Fitzpatrick to quarterback that team. He's out 6 to 9 weeks now. You have to understand the story of Ryan Fitzpatrick. This is his 9th NFL team in 17 years. Yes, he does own the record, okay, for the most teams. He's thrown more yards than Terry Bradshaw, Troy Aikman, Phil Simms. I mean, really, some of the really great Joe Namath. He's got more passing yards than Joe Namath. And he gets an opportunity. Ron Rivera brings him in. And Ron Rivera says, it's your team, man. Never in his career has he ever had an organization completely behind him. Hey, it may only be for 1 or 2 years. But the guy's 36 years old, 37 years old. When you want to have an opportunity to at least run the Washington by the way, I know we all know what the nickname used to be, but I'll tell you this. If you are on a winning team in Washington, D.C., that team is revered like no other by those politicians. Why do you think that when Lombardi bought or was given 5% of the Redskins back in the day by Preston Marshall, that was how they got him out of retirement. The only franchise that could have got Vince Lombardi out of retirement was the Redskins. They gave him 5% of the team. And in Washington, why do you think Nixon was such a gigantic? This guy had seen every president since he took over the Packers in 1959. And his favorite, obviously, was Kennedy. I got to tell you a quick story. You're going to love this one, Chris. Guy needed to have Paul Hornung one weekend for the championship game against the Philadelphia Eagles. And he had gone in on a reserve Well, get this. He called Kennedy up and he goes like this. Hey, President Kennedy, do you think we can get a voucher for Paul Horney this weekend? And President Kennedy called down to the reserve that he was serving on, Paul Horney, and gave him a weekend leave. And he played in the championship game for the Packers. Yeah. Hey, can you imagine? Hey, President Kennedy, I need Horney. Can you give me a weekend voucher for Paul Horney? Let me work on it. He's playing in Sunday against the Eagles. Yeah. Hey, man, I love the fact that you could just pick up the phone and call the President of the United States and get a guy. Hey, Prez, what do you think? I'll work on it for you. Don't worry. I'll get it for you. It's wow. Is that a name from the past? I still think Art's doing time in Indianapolis Correctional Facility. Yeah, no, that's not true, actually. Oh boy, Art Sleester. How about that name from the past? He used to go with Woody Hayes to the track. That was his starting quarterback. It's not just a guy. Yeah. Here's my starting quarterback, Art Schleeser. Aren't you playing against Clemson this weekend? Yeah, we're going to put a bet on the horse in the fifth over at Santa Anita. How you doing? All right. We have to reset. Also, is Cam Newton's career done? Man, no calls. We'll reset. Keep it here on the Sileo Show. I'll be right back. Be right back. Where? Yeah. Oh. I like the Wilson footballs, actually. Yeah, they were a great McGregor, believe it or not. That was, what really got them going is that they all of a sudden Jack Nicklaus sponsored them, and he swang, he swung McGregor clubs forever when he was a younger guy. Yeah, they had golf clubs. I had a pair. Yeah, all those young sports outlets, like Wilson and Nike wasn't around. There was another one, Spot Built. If you remember those guys, those shoes are all gone. Franklin's, still, man, those old brands are gone. Hey, they were collector's items today, man. I got one. Dan Sileo, USA Radio Network, welcome aboard with us. Thank you so much for coming aboard. I write down, and people on my Twitch channel and on my YouTube channel, you can go there, by the way. If you don't get our fabulous show in your local city yet, you can listen, as many of you do, streaming us on dansilioshow.com through our friends at USA Radio Network. I just love the fact that we're now in a time now where, I write, as I said, so many things down, but you know what? The show just takes me wherever because there's so much content. I don't know, maybe I write around 30 things down every night. Things that I think that are somewhat interesting. What's great though is that what happens is through that dialogue, through our conversations, either when we're off the air, because we do kind of two shows, which is really cool here. What I like also is that if you want to really be part of the program too, you have to use our social media platforms to ask a question, because callers nowadays, to me, I got out of that business. I'm sorry, a long time ago. I really did. I got out of that business a long time ago. I'm not in the business of creating trolls. I'm just not. I think it's just bad radio. Hearing the same guy call in from Henderson, Nevada, every day and give me some dumbass hypothetical or some dumbass spin about elections or sports. It's not for me. I control the show. And again, I like the fact that I opened up the show here a little bit, though, to you guys to ask questions. It's all good. It's just the way I want to do it, the way I've been doing it for the last 15 years, actually. And it's never hurt me in any way doing it that way. How many calls do you think Rush Limbaugh took in a show? He started taking more later in his career, but early in his career, 3 calls a day? Maybe. Rush was a brilliant guy at taking the intel in front of him and turning. He showed me how to do it. It was funny with the lesson that I learned from him. I was in South Florida, actually Palm Beach, where he lived, and he had a New York Times in front of him, and he gave me the same New York Times that Snerdley had. By the way, Bo's a good guy. I know him very well. And he goes, read me the New York Times. I read him the New York Times cover, and I read the headlines, and then he read them. I said, Jesus, how come it sounds so different? He looked at me and he goes, you answered your own question. It's like, damn, right there was an epiphany. Getting a lesson from the master on communications. I read the same New York Times as he did. Then he read it and I went, God, why does that sound so much better? And from that moment on, I realized what he was telling me. It's about the presentation. Right? Do we not see that with politicians? Some guys are really good orators. Here, let's go down the line of great presidents that were great orators. Obama, Clinton. Holy cow. Clinton, in my lifetime, next to Reagan, because I don't remember LBJ. Okay, then I mean, Nixon, I don't really remember that either. I don't remember Ford, but I do remember Carter. But Reagan was amazing. But he was an actor. He had acting training on how to deal with people in front of the camera. He was built for TV. Same with Kennedy. Same as Kennedy, man. Yeah, so I mean, I love how we take the show in all different directions. And here, I said this to you. I write down certain things here. And I saw something that the ratings for the NFL over the weekend were up 7%, which meant this, 17.4 million Americans throughout the day watched the National Football League. How beautiful is that? Get this, 27 million people watched Thursday night. 17.4 watched the NFL. And by the way, you think those numbers are not going to continue to escalate? You know what's great? Maybe I'm being a little bit cynical here in this, but the more trouble that's in Washington, the more issues that you have in Washington makes my business bigger, better, funner, not so confrontational, clarity. I would never in a million, I get asked sometimes because I have worked in news stream media. I did an afternoon show on 970 WFLA in Tampa. Okay, I did. I hated it. You know why? I never felt good about myself after the day. I always felt great about my show in the morning when I was doing radio on WDAE, doing my sports show. And by the way, you know what really happens nowadays in radio too? See, you know how I talk sports and politics? That's not going to fly today with a lot of people. They'd rather not have it because you know why? Most of them, they don't really like radio talk show hosts any longer. They like radio cheerleaders today. Well, yes, sir. No problem. Whatever you need. Yes, sir. By the way, I get it. It's the game. And I wasn't very good at it. So what am I going to do now? Pretend like Stern? And pretend I wasn't that guy? It's funny. I look at that and I go like this. Is Howard doing the right thing and how he has changed his entire show? Because you know why he has to change? Because less people are accepting him now because of what he is today than what he was back in the day. He never stuck to his true convictions in the end, but he didn't have to because you know why? He's making $100 million a year. Why would he care? So if he has to succumb to being the guy that they want to hear at Sirius, that's who he's become. I don't blame him. I don't. But people wonder why that show's not what it was. Well, it's lost its integrity. It's lost its integrity. And that's the thing again, where in sports, you know what the integrity is? The scoreboard. Isn't it cool not to debate about a team getting beat? Like, watch this. The Bills got beat by a really good Pittsburgh team. And some people would do this. Well, you know the better team is the Bills. Really? Now you sound like lamestream media today. You got beat, son. You got beat. You're trying to change the goalpost? Scoreboard. I actually heard a talk show go, well, you know, the Bills are better. Well, the Bills weren't better on the day it counted the most. You got beat on that day. Well, I still think, you know, they're good. Okay. Well, then you obviously don't understand the difference between winning and losing and keeping score. It's because today in our media, keeping score, it's got a whole new set of rules. You know the one thing that I love the most about my boy Chris and I? Him and I are on the same page with this. I don't battle election results. I don't care. You know why? Scoreboard. I'm a scoreboard dude. And so is he. If Trump had won, scoreboard. Biden won, live with it. I'm not going to sit around and pretend that some infamous like ballots were burned in Alabama or in Philly or in Arizona. I mean, it's dumb. I can't believe that people waste time on the air doing it. Honestly, why? Conspiracy theory? Art Bell's been dead a bit, guys. Okay? He was a great overnight guy. Art's been dead for a while. I was friends with him, actually. I posted a picture with me and him. I mean, I don't subscribe to that. But sports, the football over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. How about, like I said yesterday, how about Oregon going into Columbus and tattooing Ohio? That thing got incredible ratings because people couldn't believe that a West Coast team actually for the first time in a decade walked in there and beat the piss out of Ohio State, who, quite frankly, we should have saw it the week before against Minnesota. And by the way, as of tonight, just a couple minutes ago, guess whose name has become prominent with the USC job? You guessed it, Mario Cristobal, the head coach of the Oregon Ducks. You think Phil Knight's going to let that guy go? I think not. And where would you want to coach today? Oregon or USC? I don't know. I have more resources at Oregon. Why on the planet would I ever in a million years entertain that? But the point about NFL having high numbers, fans are sick and tired of being preached to. They want to be entertained. That game last night on Monday Night Football was so good. Okay? The Raiders, they blow the game late. They had an opportunity to win it. Then they lose it. You had to win the game twice. John Gruden needed to win. Now he's 29-0. I still don't think the team is all that hot. We'll see. After 60 minutes of football, I don't know. I'm not sure still. But it was great, the numbers. And to have sports back, look at everything that has taken a beating because of the COVID. Sports ratings football ratings, I should say, are off the charts. I hope baseball for the postseason has that same experience. but 17.4 million people. Like, it's the average of the games of people watching for the entire Sunday is the highest number that they've had in 6 years. It's great. Even the horrible Niners and Lions, big numbers in those respected cities. People are tired of what's on the news. You know, the one thing that kept going during the whole time of COVID was news and news channels, wasn't it? And news radio. It's the one, because sports wasn't going on then. Remember, the sports world was shut down. The government made sure of it. They shut it down. Everything except UFC, but you know what I'm saying. And now that it's back, people are coming back. You know, and I wondered how fans would go back to the stadiums. You're running back. You're running back in droves. It's really great. You're running back to the game that you love because it gives you the release that we've needed for these 2 years. Man, I think this is going to be one of the greatest rated football seasons, college and pro, that we've ever seen. I am so excited about this year. I really am. I'm excited. All right. I do want to hit on this. I teased this and I got to hit on it now. It's Cam Newton. Is Cam finished? No calls at all for the legendary player. We'll hit on it next. Huh. You know, Chris, I think that's when the Nike football started. I think Nike started making the football then. But it could have been the Rawlings. They made great baseball gloves. The Duke. No. No, I think it was I think it was Rawlings. You think it was Spalding? Forever. Yeah. Wow, is that way back? Yeah. Wow, is that old school? It could have been. Mhm. Hmm. Wow, that would be awesome. That'd be an awesome story. I actually like that. Dan Sileo, USA Radio Network. Remember when I just got through telling you that, we tease some stuff and other things just pop up. Something just broke here. Buffalo Bills are going to require fans at games to be vaccinated against COVID-19. Buffalo Bills ownership has announced a new policy that will require all fans to be vaccinated to attend games at Highmark Stadium and Key Bank Center, home of the Sabres this season. Pagula Sports, owners of the two, entertainment, along with Erie County, announced today that the beginning game of September 26th against the Washington team, all fans ages 12 and up must have received at least one COVID-19 shot in order to attend. How do you feel about that? Well, here. So, you get the National Football League telling you that you need to be vaccinated for something that's outdoors. Okay, here's what I would do. And for the record, I want you to know this. This is how I look at stuff like this. Because you have such a preposterous rule like this, I just wouldn't go. I'd watch it at my favorite stadium, my home. What the NFL is going to do here is you're going to alienate half of your fan base. No, I'll take that back. You're going to alienate. See, the only reason you're doing this in New York right now, right? It's a Democrat state. You're not doing this in Carolina. You're not doing this in New Orleans. You're not doing this. You may do this now in Arizona a little bit. That may go down because that's turning. It used to be red. It's kind of almost bluish now because of what happened in the last election. You think you're going to do that in Texas? You can kiss those teams' asses for sure. You think you're going to do that with the Houston Texans, Dallas Cowboys? Do you actually believe that Jerry Jones would have that ridiculous rule? Absolutely not. You're not going to have it in the state of Florida, Republican areas. That's what this is going to turn into here. But what the NFL is missing out here is the fan base of football is Middle America in the South. Remember that storyline that happened with NASCAR and Bubba Wallace and the noose and all that? Why would you even do that when that's not even the people that you're talking to? That's got nothing to do with your fan base. That had 5% of your fan base. And you alienated 95% of your fan base because you did something that was over the top. And then you know what they did last year? Out of nowhere, hey, man, no more Confederate flags at games. Hey, this just did. The war's been over since 1865, dummies. Really? Wow. Until you guys need to... Well, just in the nick of time, no Confederate flags at NASCAR games. Right? Oh, hey, listen. I'm going to need... Chris, I'm going to need a little bit more time on Cam here. I don't want to just do it for a second here, but I got to... Chris just made a really great moment here for me to think about with Cam. If I were Cam Newton, would you want to take the first job that was available? Or would you sit back and wait for the best opportunity? Because you've got one last chance. One last moment for you to be able to hopefully save your career. All right. Big Sills here again, folks. This is for my friends in the Phoenix area, all the Valley Hooters, all those great locations for Arizona Wildcat football, Arizona State, the Cardinals football. Hey, got the sun starting up soon. Fantasy football lovers, this is your one-stop. I got great giveaways, but your one-stop place. $3 Michelob Ultra Drafts. Lunch specials are incredible, man. I mean, really, they've got so many great deals starting at $8. They got the Coronas too, $4. I mean, it's just tremendous what we're talking about on the buckets here. All right, get to your Valley Hooters. We come back out of the timeout. More National Football League news. Really interesting second week. We'll look at it next. Three. Long time, right? Huh. I love that. You know what we used to fly when I was with the Cowboys? We used to fly Braniff. And Braniff had a Cowboy plane. Who does? Huh. She's wonderful. Yep. Funny. Yeah. She's good people. He was the mayor for a long time. Hey, he was a mob lawyer. Oh man. People in Vegas loved him. Yeah, he's really. Yeah, he was good people. Good people. Yeah, absolutely, man. It's kind of crazy to see where it's at right now. I got to think Joe Manchin's the last of the old school. Mm-hmm. Does Lotus handle them? So Lotus distributes them. Dan Sileo, USA Radio Network. Yeah, real quick here on that stuff with Buffalo and making their fans get vaccinated. It's funny. Their quarterback's not. And neither is Cole Beasley. They refuse to get vaccinated. But you're going to make your fans do it? I don't know. How's that, right? Here, this is how I step out of that. I'm just not going to go to your game. I'd rather watch it at home. Maybe that's what you're trying to do anyway. It's a great way to drive fans to stay at home. Because you know what? I'd rather not have the confrontation. Because if I was going to go to a game, I'd wear a mask probably anyway. Me, I would. Okay? But I'm not going to go through all that BS. I'm not going to talk to you about my medical history. That's against the law, dude. I'm not going to tell you anything about my medical history. Nothing. So you mean to tell me that you really have been given? I can't wait for this to go to the Supreme Court. So if you're a guy in one of those yellow jackets who's not qualified, he's not a doctor, because I guarantee you're not hiring doctors at the gates. Who's administering these, whether or not you're vaccinated or not? And then you have to show your scarlet letter on whether or not you have been. What gives you that power to do that? Really? Can that be a ordinance that a city can put? Well, I'll tell you. You start to infringe on American citizens' rights not to have to answer that question about their medical history. I don't feel that I have. That'd be like asking me, hey, do you have an AIDS shot? Have you been checked for AIDS? What's next? Tuberculosis? Do you know that you could start to do this? Well, so what are you going to do? How about employment? Are you going to discriminate against somebody who's not vaccinated? That falls under the line of discrimination. That's a discrimination issue for me. You know, race is not the only thing. Well, I didn't hire him because he wasn't vaccinated. That's discrimination. Where have we got to with that? So my question is, you know those big fat guys in the yellow jackets that are at the front gate? Hey, Bill, how you doing? I remember you over at the Cheesecake Factory. Have you been vaccinated or not? Why do I have to tell a guy who works at the Cheesecake Factory whether or not I've been vaccinated and this is his part-time gig? Do you see how preposterous that sounds? And by the way, your quarterback's not vaccinated. He made it public. He's not. How are you? I don't know. Now, me, on the other hand, I don't care. I'm just not going to go because I don't want anything to do with it. I have no interest in that. As a matter of fact, I stay away from stuff like that because it's just not. That's not a battle I want to fight. I don't care. Me, I'd rather stay home. I'm a loner anyway. Hey, trust me, I could stay in the Dan cave until I'm dead. I don't care. I don't need to be out in public. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be interesting. And I know, by the way, I think the Raiders had a little bit of that. They made people that were vaccinated stand in line to get into or not vaccinated, stand in lines last night. So it's going to be a political issue. And it'll be a political issue in particular states. Let me get on to this. We're going to get to week 2 of the National Football League, but I want to say one more thing about Cam Newton. You know, if I were Cam, I would sit back and do this. The next job that becomes available may be your worst job. Trust me when I tell you that. You maybe want to take the best thing that gives you the best opportunity. Because let me give you a for instance here. There's a story going on right now in New Orleans with Jameis Winston. Remember him? He used to quarterback the Buccaneers, was the Heisman Trophy winner at Florida State, won a national championship. And the Bucs moved on because they were going to get TB12, Tom Brady there. Everybody was like, holy cow, man, Jameis Winston just turns the ball over too much of that. So Jameis Winston decides to take $1 million. And by the way, he took a $7.5 million pay cut to go to New Orleans last year. And you know what he did? He sat behind Drew Brees. Watched the master quarterback the team. Do you know what he did last week against the Packers? He destroyed the Packers. Threw for 5 touchdowns, 148 yards. And guess what? The fact that he is now being rehabilitated by Sean Payton, his next contract may be one of those $30 million deals if he continues to play like this. The Saints have a good football team. And the rehabilitation that's going on right now, if I was Dwayne Haskins, the guy who failed miserably in Washington and is now in a great place behind Ben Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh, I would be doing this. I'm going to do every single thing that Jameis Winston is doing in New Orleans because I want that to be me next year. The key here is this. The NFL is allowing rehabilitation now. If you sucked the first time, they fired you immediately and you were gone. You were gone. Brandon Whedon's of the world, Tim Couches, all these guys. You failed, you were out. No questions asked. Now you're getting an opportunity to get rehabilitated. It's a really good thing. I like it. You're not wasting talent any longer. You're trying to develop it. Maybe in some place it doesn't work. Ryan Tannehill's a great example of that. I think he was probably really even the guy who may have even started this kind of stuff. Because at the end of the day, remember, he sucked out loud in Miami. Guy goes to Tennessee, before you know it, he's in the AFC Championship game and he's constantly in the playoffs and he gets $29.5 million contract extension in Tennessee. What? That guy was a failure in Miami. Good. So if I'm Cam, I might want to take the best available job. The job, like hypothetically, and I'm only saying hypothetically, what if Cam Newton gets banged up for 5 weeks? There's an extra game now, too. What if he gets banged up for 5 weeks? When you want Cam Newton as your starting quarterback, instead of Ben DiNucci, the Cowboy backup, put Cam's ass in there. It's almost a similar type of offensive skill sets that both players have. He'd be in a fabulous addition, and it would suffice Jerry Jones when it comes to having a great theater show there. That's what he's about. He wants to win with panache. That's what Jerry's about. Be a great thing. So if I'm Cam, I sit back and wait. The last chapter has not been written on Cam Newton yet. I just don't think it has. I think he's still got football to play. All right. Week 2, NFL. I think there's some really good football games this weekend. Starts off on Thursday night. Giants and Washington. Now, here's the problem in this game. I mean, this is a poor game. Here's why. Giants stink. They need a complete overhaul of everything in that building. And it's a shame because John Mayer's a friend. And the Tisch family are fabulous. The Tisches and the Mayer that have run the Giants for all these decades now, starting with Wellington Mayer back in the day. I mean, they're a benchmark in how you run a franchise. But Dave Gettleman, the general manager, is terrible. Joe Judge, the head coach, called a timeout on a touchdown that Jones threw. And he threw a challenge flag on it. He's incompetent. And the quarterback's terrible. It was a bad draft choice. Daniel Jones stinks. So they need to change. Get this. In New York, they need to change the quarterback, the coach, and the GM. Holy cow. You're a decade away from being good. Washington, they lost Ryan Fitzpatrick. But it's a really good roster. And here's the thing I don't get about Ron Rivera. who I really revere and I really like a lot, his relationship with Cam Newton, I think this is really a shot at Cam too, actually. You know, Cam and him went to the Super Bowl together in Carolina. So you're telling me that your relationship with Cam Newton is such that you want nothing to do with Cam and bringing him in? Look at what Urban Meyer did for Tim Tebow. He dusted that guy's ass off after 9 years being out of the game and gave him an opportunity to make the team as a tight end. And Ron doesn't want to give Cam an opportunity to back up now that Ryan Fitzpatrick is out 9 weeks. Wow. I think that's a shot at Cam. I do. I think that's more of a shot at him, not Ron. Ron wants to win ball games. I think that's really weird that you would go down that route like that. So to me personally, I think it's a horrible football game. And I don't know, home team Washington, they got this guy Tyler Hinkey in there now quarterbacking. I call him Tyler Heineken. I mean, I don't know. I think Washington wins the football game. It's a horrible game. This next game is on a Sunday, and we'll get to the Sunday games here. This is going to be interesting, and I know. Wait till I tell you the game. Bengals and Bears. Okay, think of this. You're like, Bengals and Bears, Sills. Yeah, the Bears stink. Secondary's terrible. Matthew Stafford ate them up in week 1. And the Bears are still jerking around with who should be the starting quarterback, Andy Dalton or Justin Fields. Really? The Bears have a horrible team right now. Why are you playing Andy Dalton? It's probably why you are playing him. Joe Burrow was great last week. There's a moxie about that kid that has a Brady quality about him. I really like Joe. I really like Joe Burrow. I think he reminds me of Tom Brady a little bit with his moxie. 261 yards, 2 touchdowns last week. In an upset win. I think he's really good. I like him. I think the Bengals are going to go to 2-0. When is the last time you saw the Bengals at 2-0? Right, when Boomer was there? I mean, Bengals? Texans and Browns. You know what I'm going to say to you about David Culley? I'm going to give David Culley some love here, the head coach of the Texans. Everybody trashed the Texans organization. Nick Caserio, the new general manager. They put Tyrod Taylor in there. And guess what? All the Deshaun Watson distractions. What did they do? They beat the pants off of the Jags. The game wasn't close. Well coached. Everybody was in sequence. David Culley was waited 28 years to become a head coach in the NFL, had his team ready to play. They play the Browns. Browns are a good football team. They played against a very good team in the Kansas City Chiefs last week. And Baker Mayfield was pretty good, 321. But here's the deal. You can't go into a game and make one mistake late in the fourth quarter against the Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium. That's just not going to happen. You want to be one of those top-tier teams. I say this all the time. Here's how I look at teams. There's 1 through 10. Then there's 11 through 20. And then there's 20 through 32. Those are your 3 tiers. And if the Browns want to get off of tier 2 into tier 1 and being one of the top 10 teams in the NFL, well, you've got to make top 10 plays. And top 10 plays are made in the fourth quarter. They're not there yet. I like the Texans, man. I think they really put up a good game. I think the Browns blow them out, though. We'll get more to that later in the week, but I like that game. Colts at home versus the Rams. It's going to be interesting, okay? Colts need a win. Got Carson Wentz on the payroll now, and they did not protect him very well in the offensive line. And I was a little bit shocked because Seattle moved people around exceptionally well in stunting. They went from a 3-4, 43, 53 look, and it confused the offensive line, which meant they got to Carson Wentz. That Rams team ate the Bears up, as I said. I mean, those guys were wide open like it was Matthew Stafford at Georgia versus Vanderbilt again. Guys were just wide open. And he was awesome in that game. I mean, 20 of 26. Look at the efficiency there. 321 yards, and I think he had 3 touchdowns in the game. He was just spectacular in that game. Dolphins and Bills. How about the Dolphins coming out of the gate getting a win? Tagovailoa looked good. And the Bills dropping that game to the Steelers. Get this. The Bills had beaten them in every single statistic except the scoreboard. Yeah, but you know what? I look at that, and I told you a couple segments ago. I said it to you before. I don't care you lost. I don't care what it looks like. There's no style points in the NFL. There's style points in college football because there's a committee. Tagovailoa played well. Could the Dolphins start the season 2-0 and be the front runners in the AFC East? This game will tell us a lot here. Jets and Patriots. Boy, the Patriots need a victory. The Jets are at home in the Meadowlands. And for the record, everyone knows the hatred that Bill has for the Jets. He hates the Jets. Brady hates the Jets. When Brady was a Patriot, he hated the Jets. He loved beating their ass. I don't know if he ever he couldn't have lost too many times to the Jets. Mac Jones was good. They had a turnover late in that game against the Dolphins, the Patriots. But I think the Pats win this ball game. Tell you this, that kid Zach Wilson they got from BYU, the Jets, he looks like he could sling it. He could spin that rock a little bit. One of my favorite games of the weekend is Eagles and 49ers. That's good. How about this? This is a game where the best offensive and defensive linemen may play the best game of the year with all the talent that they have on the field. We'll take a look at week 2. We'll finish up week 2 here. Some really great games. NFL had a banner week in TV ratings. We'll reset and keep it here on the Sileo Show. Bank. We're in Brooklyn. Ow. Ow, that hurt me. No, you don't. No, you don't. Bridgeport? You mean the highlight? Great Steaks. Bridgeport. Sorry, I only rode through it, never in it. What? Hartford Whaler talk. No, that would be more like New Haven Nighthawks. Okay? It is. Woo! They needed to make you president of the company if you were going there. Yeah, I think I'll pass on that one. Oh, it's a great little town. And by the way, real estate's not that expensive in northern New York. Believe it or not, it's not. Okay. Oh, I love Jones Beach, dude. I used to hang out there when I was a kid. Yeah, I used to hang out there at Jones Beach when I was a kid. Oh my God, me and my friends used to hang out there all the time. And clams. And blue shell crabs. I know we're talking about like Jones Beach on my social media platforms. YouTube and Twitch. By the way, Dan Sileo, USA Radio Network, just so we bring everybody in. Oh, yeah, God, man, I used to love going to Jones Beach when I was a kid. Oh, my God, there were so many great parties and summertimes on those areas, Chris. Even when you went to Montauk or you went up the coast in Connecticut, it was really – I love being raised in that. Oh, I love those areas. Yeah, I love Jones Beach. It was really good. Howard Beach is very good. Very underrated, actually. Playland, too, man, where the Playland where you had Playland and they have a beach there out back. It's pretty good, too. So let me finish this up here. I want to get into what we're talking about here with week 2. There's so many great games still to be played. Raiders are going to be on a short work week here. Get a great win last night versus the Ravens. They take on that Steeler team. Tell you this, they got to travel across the country now to play the Steelers, who just got off a win versus the Bills. That's going to be an interesting ball game. Panthers and Saints here. Panthers get out under the Sam Darnold era with a win. I'll tell you this. That kid, Christian McCaffrey, is some football player. He is some player. I see why now he's the highest paid running back in the NFL. I mean, his ability to catch the football out of the backfield and his ability to run the ball in between the tackles is really special. And they're taking on Jameis Winston. Saints, if I were Sean Payton, the head coach of the Saints, tempering expectations, they get out to a great start and they destroyed the Packers. Remember, last 2 years prior to that game, Packers are 26-6 over the last 2 years and 2 NFC Championship appearances. And the Saints, with a new quarterback and a quarterback not named Drew Brees, beat the pants off them. So we're going to find out a lot about both these ball teams this week. How about the Broncos under Teddy Bridgewater? How are you not rooting for Teddy Bridgewater? Cast away after his injury in Minneapolis, gets a great deal after he takes up and is a understudy for Drew Brees in New Orleans, goes to Carolina. They hate him. They send him and trade him to Denver. He goes into New York and beats the brakes off the Giants. And now they're 1-0. The Broncos are good. Melvin Gordon had 100 yards rushing, the former Charger. He's a good football player, man. That team looks pretty decent. Then they're going to play the Jags. They're going to destroy the Jags. They got to go to Jacksonville. Maybe the humidity's a factor. I don't know. Vikings and Cardinals. I got to say something to you. How about every team in the West winning a game in week 1? Cardinals now will take on his Vikings team. I think Mike Zimmer's in trouble. Okay? I think they're in trouble there. Arizona's got a good-looking football team. Kirk Cousins had a decent game, but, man, the Vikings do not look good. The Cardinals look great. That kid Chandler Jones had 5 sacks last week. Buccaneers and Falcons. Falcons looked terrible against the Eagles. And the Buccaneers did not look all that great against the Cowboys. Now, did the Cowboys cause a lot of that? Absolutely. But you're going to try to tell me you don't think Tom Brady's not going to straighten it out, right? 379 yards last week. I think he had 4 touchdowns, 32 of 50. And you could actually, that number, in my opinion, was more like 32 of 46. Because those last 3 throwaways, this guy's quarterback rating would have been even better. How about Cowboys and Chargers? Cowboys have to go across the country, and they got to play the Chargers in Los Angeles. They come off that tough game against the Buccaneers. They could be 0-2 after this game. That Chargers team is good. Justin Herbert can play. Dak was awesome. Tick above 400 yards, had 3 touchdowns, a couple turnovers in that game. But that's going to be an interesting ball game, too, and tell me a lot about both those ball teams. Titans and Seahawks. Cleveland. Seattle goes in and wins a football game against the Colts. It was a great performance by Russell Wilson and those guys. 254, 4 touchdowns. Titans. It's going to be a great game. Chiefs and Ravens. Ravens are going to be desperate for a win, and it's in Baltimore. And how does this go for you? This is an old school game. Chris will like this. Packers and Lions at Lambeau. Dude, Lions and Packers at Lambeau. I know you're going to go, Dan, it's the Lions. Yes, but they've been playing Lions and Packers for like ever. Okay? That may be one of the oldest rivalries next to the Bear rivalry in pro football. And I think the Lions are actually pretty decent. Okay? They had a nice comeback against the 49ers. All right. More on week 2. Another storyline on Aaron Rodgers. We'll reset and keep it right here on the Dan Sileo Show.